Buddhist science is a study on Buddhism based on facts and science.
The Buddhism is a study on the truths of life within nature. Venerable Rungruang Pipart Sara, Dr. Rungruang Limchu Patipa. The Buddha promoted people to study on the truths of life within nature so that we could cope with the world correctly with no blind belief and faith, and this is a goal of Buddhism, to transform an individual to be a noble person. In Buddhism, everything in the world must be caused by a certain kind of thing in nature as sort of the law of nature. Therefore, every being, including any supernatural entities, spirits, and even God, all are under the same law of nature. The Buddha had no intention to change anyone as in religious conversion from any religion to be a Buddhism at all, but the Buddha wanted to share the knowledge of life, and hopefully we can jointly search for the truths of nature together. And this is the foundation of the Buddhist science, since the beginning of the Buddhism in the Buddha time. On one occasion, when a famous and rich scholar wanted to make a religious conversion to Buddhism, but the Buddha suggested him not to do so for 3 times. But eventually the scholar insisted on being a Buddhism, so the Buddha recommended him keep on supporting the people of his previous religion. In Buddhism there is no need for Buddhism conversion because even being a Buddhism is simply no self, and in declaring any individual as a Buddhist is just a ceremony. Amidst all kinds of the faiths and gods, the Buddha encouraged people to search for the truths of life within nature instead. The Buddhism is a unique religion in the sense that Buddha was not concerned about the belief in God as a creator, and the Buddha also never proclaimed that he was a god or a messenger from God. Meanwhile, he also had never bothered to go against anyone's belief in God as well. At one time, the Buddha challenged many people in front of public if there was anyone who had ever seen the God yet, as follows.
The main difference between the Buddha's teachings and the teachings of others is that his teachings are about the truths of nature and how to eliminate all defilements or mental errors in life. While the Brahman teaches about gods, and claims that there are different kinds of gods, but no one has ever seen the gods before.
In Buddhism, the Buddha was not concerned about God, because the Buddha himself was a human being, not a personal God. The Buddha played down the roles of God, and he discouraged the traditional practice of sacrificing life to please the god as follows.
Those who sacrifices or offers anything to please God or any supernatural entities in favor for something in return, is already developing a greed inside. How can a greedy person be successful and be able to achieve the high quality of noble life?
Instead, the Buddha suggested that we should search for the meaning of life. In Buddhism, the study of the truths of life is more important than asking favors from God. The Buddha explained as follows.
The Buddha cannot perform any miracle to make anyone become successful in anything. Those who want to be successful must work hard and attaining the success by making proper cause and effect. The Buddha can only guide you the way, but you have to make an execution.
So, it is very clear that the Buddha never performed any miracle or any supernatural powers to anyone at all. The Buddha himself is a human being of flesh and blood. He is neither a god nor a messenger from the gods, and so in Buddhism the Buddha did not discuss whether God was a creator or not, but all beings were created by nature. At one time, his student, who was famous of having supernatural power, comes to see the Buddha, and on the way, he came to see some sorts of spirits and ghosts, so when he met with the Buddha, he told the Buddha about what he saw on the way. And the Buddha answers him as follows.
I, the Buddha, also knew all of those things before, but I never mention or teach about it because these kinds of things are useless. It has no benefit in suffering elimination at all, so I never teach about these kinds of useless stuffs.
There was another time when one of the Buddha students complained to the Buddha that since he became a monk in Buddhism, why he had never seen the Buddha performing any miracle at all. The Buddha answered to him as follows.
Listen, I, the Buddha, never promises anyone that I will perform any miracle. Those miracle stuffs are useless. So I will never perform any miracle. But what the most important thing that I teach you on how to gain wisdom to eliminate all the defilements and sufferings in life.
It is very clear that during the Buddha time, the Buddha indeed never performs any miracles or supernatural powers at all, as such his students in the Buddha time even complaining so. Therefore, most of such miracle stories about the Buddha were just made up after the Buddha passing away. In the pure Buddhism, all the miracle stuffs are nonsense and useless, and the Buddha never promotes such activities. In fact, the Buddha prohibited every monk not to perform such activities at all. Traditionally, most people assumed that there were some kinds of mighty creator who created all beings in the world. People seemed to be satisfied with having faith in this mysterious one. But the Buddha taught that people should not appeal or beg for favor from anything like this as follows.
Most people expect to have a good life, such as having long lived, being born in a good family, being happy, having fame and honor, and even living in heaven. These good lives cannot be achieved by appealing to anyone, God or Buddha. But one should do merit and make certain causes and effects to achieve a particular result, by the law of nature.
In addition, the Buddha never taught anything about performing any miracles or any magical powers at all. On the contrary, he strictly prohibited to all his students not to perform any kinds of miracles or magical powers to people, no matter at what reasons. It is a sin for any Buddhist monk to perform any kinds of miracles because the Buddha never taught so, not even any sutta. The original Buddhism is a pure religion in searching for the truths of nature without any kinds of beliefs in supernatural powers at all. The Buddha condemned that those who expected any magical result had already inhibited a greed inside the mind. Therefore, in Buddhism, it was an unwholesome activity to perform any miracles. The Buddhism is about a study on the truths of life within nature. So, there is no necessity to be a Buddhist first, but it is important to understand the world and the meaning of life. It is a religion that is based on fact and science. And the knowledge in Buddhism is like a kind of science that it is applicable to everyone, no matter of what races and any religions you are. The Buddha did not to convert anyone to be Buddhist, but the knowledge in Buddhism is a general knowledge that can help you to have a better understanding of the mind, and hopefully you can be successful in improving the quality of the mind for a better life. The original Buddhism is about learning the truths of life within nature, Dharma, and then learning how to use this knowledge to understand the world correctly so that we can respond to the world rightly.